What's up, family? I am Detaliana Patterson, and this is the Melanin Mental Health Initiative. For this Melanin Mental Health Monday, I wanted to make one quick point for you about childhood trauma, and that is that children are extremely resilient, but children are not invincible, right? And what we experience as children and what children experience has the ability to follow them into adulthood and continue to affect their lives and the choices that they make and the way they regulate their emotions. And so I'll give you an example from my own life. Currently, my husband and I are in the process of relocating to another state, and he's all excited, ready to go. Me, on the other hand, I'm over here panicking, having some breakdowns every now and then, I'll be honest. And so he didn't quite understand why my reaction was that way. And I had to take him back to my childhood and try to help him understand where it comes from. Because I've already done the work of processing that. So I had to take him back so that he can understand it too. And I took him back to when I was in foster care. And I spent about 9 years in foster care. And in that time was in about 6 or 7 different foster homes. And I just vividly remember every time I was told that we had to leave and we had to move again, I would cry profusely. I remember even in some homes begging the foster parent if we can stay. And there were moments where, it's just so uncertain where you're going, if I'm going to be with my sister and brother or not, if this new place that I'm going to, is it safe? Will they welcome me? Will they, contribute to my trauma and more abuse and more neglect and rejection and all of that? So it was just a lot of negative emotions and experiences surrounding those transitions in childhood in foster care. And I had to explain it to my husband, and he finally, was able to understand a little bit more about my reaction to this now as an adult, having to transition to another state. It should be exciting, right? You have new opportunities and it's a new place. You're putting down roots somewhere, starting a family, hopefully within the next couple of years. But right now I'm panicking. I'm scared. I'm worried. I'm stressed out, all of that stuff. And it's because of my experience as a child. So what we experience in childhood has the ability to continue to affect us into adulthood. And it's even more so, I think my reactions are a little bit less intense because I recognize where it's coming from, right? So when it creeps up, I can do something to take care of myself. I can process, I can pray, I can talk to somebody to get through it. But if I'm being influenced subconsciously, it's even more so when it's subconsciously, like you don't recognize where that's coming from. And it influences your emotions, your reactions, your choices that you make, all of that stuff, especially if it's trauma. So there's other things that I've experienced as a child that I recognize that continue to impact me today. But there are other things that I don't necessarily draw the connection between. And I think sometimes a lot of us have these experiences as children, right? We go through, we live with addicted parents, right? My mom was addicted to drugs for I don't know how many years. And even though we went into foster care and we didn't have as much of a relationship with her, that still impacts me to this day. Like that impacts our relationship to this day. There are kids who their parents divorced. How is that impacting them to this day? Kids who were physically abused, sexually abused, emotionally abused, even kids who were bullied, and some kids who experience all of those things, and it impacts us. And so, like I said before, children are extremely resilient. Yes, a lot of kids have gone through so much, and I was one of those kids. I went through so much, but I would say I came out on top. But I didn't come out perfectly. I came out with some scars. A lot of us have gone through so much as children, and we've come out with some scars. So it's important to remember that, like I said, kids are extremely resilient, but they aren't invincible. And what we experience as children has the ability to follow us into adulthood. So let's not diminish what children go through. Even if it's a very young child. I've heard some people say, oh, they're so young, they won't remember. You know what? They do. And if they don't remember vividly the memory of it, their body remembers, their brain and the wiring is affected by some of the things that they go through. So it's important to, not diminish the experience of kids and how they process things that they go through, and making sure that if they have been through trauma, right? If they've experienced something traumatic in their lives, making sure that we give them the support and resources and love and care that they need during that time to work through it, right? So that it doesn't continue to affect them negatively into their adult lives. Because what we have in this world and in our society, and especially within communities of color, we see a lot of kids who've been through hell, okay? Been through a lot of stuff as kids, and now they're walking around here as wounded adults, hurt adults, angry adults, because of what they've gone through as kids, right? So it's harder to try to, heal as an adult when you've gone through so many years of trauma and so many years of just holding on to that experience and that way of processing and that way of regulating your emotions or being dysregulated, right? So give our kids the support that they need. Recognize that time is very vulnerable for them. And just remember that, they're resilient, but they aren't invincible, right? So that's all I have for you today, family. But if you want to continue to talk about this, feel free to comment below or shoot me a message or, send me a smoke signal, something. I'm open to talking about it. In the meantime, and in between time, please take care of yourselves and remember that your mental health matters. And I will be back in a couple of weeks. I won't be posting next Monday, but in a couple of weeks I'll be back. So have a good week, and I love you.